The idea of priesthood was first introduced well before the organization of the church, when the angel Moroni appeared to the prophet Joseph in September of 1823 and said that at some point in the future, the Lord would reveal the priesthood by the hand of Elijah. As far as we can tell, this priesthood was never mentioned again until about 13 years later, in late 1836, when, at the close of the dedicatory services for the Kirtland Temple, Elijah appeared to the prophet and gave him the keys or the authority necessary to institute the Mormon temple endowment, which Joseph did in 1841. In this section, section 124, the priesthood as it relates to Elijah and the temple endowment is discussed. In 1841, the notion that the church did not have all of the priesthood must have come as quite a surprise. After all, by 1835, Section 107 had been received, in which all of the priesthood offices of the church were set out: the first presidency, quorum of the 12, quorum of the 70, stake presidencies, high councils, bishoprics, elders' quorums, priest quorums, teachers' quorums, and deacons' quorums. The saints must have thought that no additional priesthood was necessary. However, in section 124, the Lord explains that in addition to the priesthood used to administer the affairs of the church, there is a higher priesthood that will help bring men and women into the presence of God. To obtain this priesthood, Joseph was commanded to build a temple, unlike the one he had previously built in Kirtland. In this temple, God would restore what he called the fulness of the priesthood. This priesthood was not to be received by the laying on of hands. Rather, it is received by the ordinance of my holy house. Look carefully at verse 39. This is just another way of saying that you receive the fullness of the priesthood by receiving your endowment. Receiving the endowment involves entering into the Aaronic and Melchizedek priesthood orders associated with the temple. This priesthood is gender blind and involves both men and women giving blessings and administering saving ordinances. It is a priesthood that requires men and women to enter into sacred covenants calculated to bring men and women into the presence of God. Joseph Smith summed it up this way: if a man gets the fullness of the priesthood of God, he has to get it in the same way that Jesus Christ obtained it. And that was by keeping all the commandments and obeying all the ordinances of the house of the Lord. In late October 2015, the church published on its official website, lds.org, an essay called Joseph Smith's Teachings About Priesthood. In it, the restoration of the fullness of the priesthood is explained. The essay points out that it was accomplished in connection with the establishment of the Relief Society so that men and women could receive and administer the sacred priesthood ordinances in holy temples. In this way, the women were to be organized in an order of the priesthood. The essay goes on to explain that Joseph spoke of ordaining women and said that the Relief Society officers would preside over the society. He also declared, "I now turn the key to you in the name of God." These statements indicate that Joseph Smith delegated priesthood authority to women in the Relief Society.